People who themselves had had to search for an abortion understood the difficulty in finding one. When Russ was 19, he and his girlfriend realized she was pregnant.
I went to my assistant track coach, a young guy, very friendly, and so then I told him. And he said, find out more about it, what do you want to do, and so forth. And I began to ask around about possibilities of her getting an abortion, and I talked to her about it. Finally, I get a name of someone actually in town in Los Angeles who's willing to do this and get a price. And my assistant coach gave me the money.
Years after his own experience, Russ had a chance to help someone else.
I was approached by a senior professor who had a student, and she was pregnant. Did I, by any chance, have any information on where she might get an abortion? I didn't hesitate. I got a name of someone highly confident that this was a good clinic in Tijuana. And she got the abortion. Well, I saw her about 2 years ago, and she came up to me and she thanked me. That was nice. It felt a little bit like saving a life.
I remember this ad that said, pregnant, need help, call Jane. So I called Jane.
In 1969 in Chicago, a group of women pooled their resources and formed an illegal counseling and referral service. Counselors used the code name Jane.
We'd counsel a woman and we'd make the doctor contact, and then once the doctor took over, it was out of our hands. But the big step didn't come until after we discovered that these doctors that we'd been sending people to weren't doctors at all.
And here was this ordinary person who was doing this abortion. And then the next step was, if he could do it, we could do it.
The women of Jane went on to perform more than 11,000 safe abortions.
And one by one were taken into this room to have the abortion. And there was a woman sitting next to me. She was holding my hand through the whole thing, and she said, "You're fine. You're going to be fine." It's revolutionary, though. The idea that women, anyone, regular people, can seize control of their lives.
Chicago police were on alert. The Janes continued their work, and in 1972, police raided one of the apartments where they were doing abortions.
We believed that if a law was wrong, that we had some responsibility to stand up and say, this is a wrong law.
Not only was there the need, but there was a philosophical obligation on our part, on somebody's part, to disrespect a law that disrespected women.
I think we ought to counsel women and help women get abortions, even if it's against the law.
With a group of 21 clergy, Reverend Moody organized a free referral network to provide counsel for any woman with an unintended pregnancy.
I felt that I could make a case to be there for her, whatever her decision was, not just if it were for abortion, but if it were having the child and giving it up, or if it were for having the child and not giving it up and keeping it. Whatever it was, we would try to help her find a way to do that. And that as religious people, as people who cared about people's spirits, there was no way that you could do that without caring about their bodies.
In 1967, California passed one of the first reform laws in the country. But the new law had many bureaucratic restrictions, and as a result, few women were able to get abortions. Reverend Hugh Anwell was among those who had lobbied for the bill.
I found myself in the position of being asked to establish some kind of information service. And to my absolute dismay, we had 293 calls, and we found that of that number, only 3 qualified under the law as then it was interpreted in California. So then the next question was, what now? You don't meet that kind of human need and then say, well, it doesn't concern me anymore.
Hugh Anwell contacted me and asked me if I would be a counselor representing the South Central area, which is largely the black area of Los Angeles. And in a community that has so many persons who are poor, it just seemed to me that those persons who did want to take a step to determine their own future ought to be helped without what I would consider violating the laws of God.
In this synagogue, people from many faiths have gathered to honor those who suffered before legal abortions were available.
To those